Welcome to Native Bidaské, Native News Online's weekly spotlight on the people making news and leading change in Indian country.
Welcome to another Native Bidaské. I'm Levi Rickert, publisher and editor of Native News Online. In mid-November, the National Congress of American Indians will elect a new leader, a new president. And last week we had Chairwoman Cheryl Andrews on Maltese, who's running. And this week we have a special guest, actually he's a friend of mine, Chairman Marshall Pierite out of the Tunica-Biloxi Tribe of Louisiana. He has announced that he's running. Chairman, welcome to Native Bidaské. How are you today, sir?
Doing well. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. And hey, tell us real quickly, why are you running for president of the National Congress of American Indians?
Why I'm running for the president of National Congress of American Indians, I think is part of my journey, part of my purpose. And Indian country need to come together as far as healing. We need a unifier. We need someone with a visionary, someone with a great vision as well as a strategic plan to bring Indian country together. What we're facing here is an opportunity of a lifetime, and that opportunity of a lifetime is only available during the lifetime of the opportunity, meaning now.
Well, and Chairman, you and I know, even with the progress that we've had in Indian country in recent decades, there's still a big array of problems in Indian country. Is there one thing that sticks out in your mind, something that you're really conscious of and you'd love to see resolved? What would you say the largest issue is facing Indian country at this time?
Well, protecting and preserving our tribal sovereignty first and foremost. And when you're talking about protecting tribal sovereignty, you cannot speak about tribal sovereignty, protecting and preserving tribal sovereignty without talking about or speaking about empowering our women as well as empowering our youth. It all should flow in the same statement, because it's imperative from a tribal leader perspective. We just can't do it alone. We need to build the advocacy, and there's no better advocate within the Indian country than our women and our next generation of leaders.
Now, there are 574 federally recognized tribes across the United States in what we call Indian country. NCAI's tribal membership is roughly half of that. I don't know the exact number, but last I heard, I think it was 240, 250, thereabouts. What will you do, Chairman, if you become president of the NCAI to try to bring more tribes into the organization?
Well, it's really understanding the why of a lot of our tribal nations feel disenfranchised or feel that their voices is not heard at NCAI. And making sure that we put in things in place. From what I'm hearing from my movement or campaign is they just don't feel that their voices are heard. Is building the bridges that connect all of Indian country together. We need that collaboration there. Everyone should feel that as far as NCAI is the largest and oldest advocate for Indian country, they need an educational component to know who their members are, and also to increase the membership at every level. I want an NCAI that is a reflection of all 574 tribes, an NCAI that has a strategic plan, knowing where it's going. And NCAI is also that is built for where it's going. We need an NCAI that need to be changed. It's great people. We have great leadership, and I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about one of the things my father would say, that change comes in three different stages. One, information. which is of the mind. And that information is through communication. Communication is about getting the information out into the hands of people. The second part is reformation. In New Orleans, we're going to be celebrating NCAI's 80th anniversary, but they still have the same system and structure of the original NCAI. That need to change to reflect where we're going as a unified Indian country. And third, the last form of change, phase of change, come in the form of transformation. And that transformation has to be inclusive of all of Indian country, not just the leaderships, just not tribes, but again, it's about empowering the women, empowering our next generation of tribal leaders, bringing the youth. And that is so powerful because the youth have the capacity to mobilize. You look at it, Levi, over the last 100 years, it's United States. We talk about creating a brand or creating jobs. We went from the agricultural era to the industrial era. Now we are at the information communication technology era. But what's the difference? The agricultural era and the industrial era, we didn't have a seat at the table. Now, as tribal leaders, we have a seat at at the table. We got to make sure our voices is not only heard and amplified at every level of government. So we have to have an NCAI that's inclusive, that reach out, to have the outreach to every area of government from the local level, state level, and yes, at the federal level. We need an NCAI that is always educating and advocate in Congress at the administration. I'm sorry, I'm going on.
No, you're fine. And let me ask you this then: for some of the ones who may not be able to afford to get to NCAI to the conferences, because you and I both know attending conferences can be very costly. Not all the tribes are prosperous, and I think that's a myth that many Americans hold, that we're all prosperous as a result of casino gaming, and you and I both know that's not true. What could you do if you were president to go to them? Maybe go to regional meetings? Is that the type of thing you have in mind?
Yes, I mean it's all about building bridges from every tribal nation to NCAI and vice versa, making sure all the voices is heard. Because just because you are not a member in good standing with the National Congress of American Indians doesn't mean your voices shouldn't be heard. We should have an NCAI that is have the ability to ensure that every Native voice is not only heard but amplified.
Mm-hmm. I agree, and I understand you went to Alaska in the last week, and it appears to me, because I was there myself over the weekend, it appears to me they have the same issues we have down here. Is that true? Is that what you found?
Yes, it's very true. In fact, if you look at the tribes in Alaska as well as the tribes in Louisiana, a lot of the issues is very similar. As far as the loss of land because of the climate change, when you look at the loss of or risk of cultural heritage, loss of identity, one of the things I pointed out in Alaska, the loss of identity is directly connected to the loss of your land or loss of access of your land. Because if you lose the access of your land, you lose the identity of self.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things you have to be, as a leader, be willing to see that, to see the identity crisis among our youth. Because, one of the things you initially asked, what other initiative out there is plaguing in your country? Opioid addiction, the fentanyl, those things is our children is dying on the streets. We have to do a better job.
I agree. Native News Online, we have been dealing with live streams that deal with drug overdose in Indian country. And as we dug in, Chairman, I was just astounded at how our people are dying some cases 10 times, 15 times the rates of non-native people with drug overdoses. And it is almost as if there's a big evil has been unleashed. And I like to say this, that I don't believe our ancestors survived everything they went through, the attempt genocide, Indian boarding schools, so that our kids can be trying to die from drug overdosing these days. So what's your reaction to that? I see it as a very major problem in Indian country.
It's some way we have to start addressing that. But what you just brought up, our ancestors, my faith, I learned that the greater the burden in life, the greater the blessing that it can be birthed out of those burdens. And that's why I am crazy enough to believe that Indian country has positioned itself where life has become full circle for us, where we can be a solution to a lot of those issues. And I think this drug overdose and all of that, the mental health, is a cry from our youth that they want to feel loved, that they don't care how much you know, they want to know how much you care. And we cannot be deaf to that cry. We got to, as leaders, I don't care about the economic success more than leaving people behind. We cannot continue to leave our children behind. So that in itself should be the rallying cry for all tribal leaders to say, hey, listen, enough is enough. And I do think that that rallying cry belongs and it starts with NCAI that have the wherewithal to do more than advocacy, to be more of a informational system for all of Indian country, to have a think tank to start addressing those issues, to crunch out the data that is needed to ensure that a more bigger, better, more robust NCAI, where we are advocating at every level each and every day. I see tribal leaders or NCAI and then regional meetings where we arguing about formulas of funding. Let's come to that issue, divide us. Let's come together in a united manner and address this about increasing the funding. If we can be all on the same page, all on one accord, that message will start to resonate to the stakeholders in Congress, to the stakeholders in the administration. But we have to do that collectively. It has to be a collaborative effort. It can't be done in regions, and it can't be done by tribes operating in silos. It has to be done together.
I agree. Well said. Now, some people, I'm going back to NCAI itself, you feel like it has kind of lost its relevancy. Is NCAI still relevant?
NCAI is still relevant. And when you look at the stakeholders, they look for NCAI to weigh in on the issues. So that is where I tell all my colleagues, hey, listen, we have to do all we can, regardless of what happened November 16th, November 17th, we got to come together and support the new president and board members of the NCAI and to see how we can collectively become a bigger, better, more robust NCAI, advocate for each and every one, not leave no one behind.
Yes, and I agree. And I when I ask that question, I want to make sure I don't feel like I was putting down or saying disparaging things against President Sharp or Larry Wright. I think they've done a great job. And so
they're both personal friends of mine, and they're both doing an excellent job. President Sharp is an amazing leader, a visionary for all of Indian country. She's a true expert on climate change. And, one of the things is NCAI need to hold on to their leadership and embrace the past leaders and get that expertise from them. Because, I believe in this one statement: no one person can do it all.
It's true.
It takes us all together, and and we have a lot of experts in your country. It's in particular in the next generation of leaders, and we need to untap all of that talent,
Yes.
untap all of that knowledge.
Well, interesting enough, I really appreciate what you just said. When I was in Alaska, I had a conversation with somebody over the weekend about how, and she agreed 100%. We basically said at the same time that we do a horrible job of utilizing our chairman of tribes or ex-presidents. And it's like the old saying, put them out the pasture. It doesn't make sense because they have built up that equity, the experience of knowing, in some cases, to deal with their congressmen, their senators, the people in Washington, and why you would not utilize them is beyond my comprehension. So I really do appreciate what you just said.
Yeah, that wisdom they have can help with the knowledge that others have. My father would say, knowledge allows you to know the price of everything. But knowing the price of everything and the value of nothing gets you in trouble. So tapping into that knowledge as well as that wisdom allows you to empower, encourage, and inspire at every level.
Chairman, what would you say one of your best skills as a leader is that you would be able to bring to NCAI if you were president?
I could tell you is nothing about me. I would say it's all about my faith and my walk and my ability to listen to others. And my father always say, is always remember why God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth to do more listening than to talk. And listening, tapping into the knowledge and wisdom of others, President Sharp, President Jefferson Keel, President Brian Shalatify, all of these leaders, I mean, they bring so much to the table, as well as our elders within the tribes, and also building a bridge to the youth. They bring a lot to the table as well. And how dare us to put a strategic plan in place without including the next generation of leaders, because every decision we make, they have to live with it. So they need to be part of the shaping and molding of the future for all of Indian country.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned your father at least 3 times in this episode, and tell us a little bit about him. I mean, it sounds like he was a wise man that you are living with. He's still alive, or tell us a little bit.
No, I lost my father in 1980, and he was my hero. He was someone I looked upon. He lived by a life of values, principles, full of integrity. And he also was a Baptist minister, and he provided a lot of knowledge and wisdom and spiritual nuggets to all of his children.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Now, tell me this. There's a resolution, it might be 2 resolutions that's will be heard, read, voted on at the upcoming NCAI convention in New Orleans, and it deals with the state-recognized tribes. Do you believe state-recognized tribes should be members of NCAI?
Well, it goes by the policy of NCAI, and I wholeheartedly believe that we cannot allow an issue to divide us. We need an issue to unify us. And one, Tunica-Biloxi, we have shared ancestral homelands with the Homa Nation, and our history dates back to over 200 years ago. And there are very great friends. They're part of our Tunica-Biloxi extended family today. And, one of the things, again, I understand the battle with some of the tribes that say state tribes don't belong, because Tunica-Biloxi is fighting that same battle with two groups within our parish. But we took it upon ourselves to fight that with the state legislature in creating a whole new process on how they recognize state tribes. I do not think that belongs at the NCAI level. We have more pressing issues that we really have to deal with, because 2024 is upon us. Is a year away. This administration has created so much opportunity. All our emphasis and focus should be on how we can help each other gain access to those grants, economic opportunities, how we can work together, not issues that divide us. And I feel torn about this issue, and I feel for the tribes either way. But if NCAI policy allow these tribes to be in it, who are we to say, hey, listen, they don't belong?
Well, just in your own neck of your woods, were you down in Louisiana? I know the Hom Tribe is a state recognized tribe, and for a variety of reasons, they have not been able to gain their federal recognition. Tell us about your relationship with the Hom Tribe. How is the Tunica-Biloxi have conducted themselves?
Well, I can tell you, we shared part of the ancestral homeland when Tunica-Biloxi migrated into Louisiana. We met them a little bit over 250 years ago, and we still maintain a great relationship today. We look at them and embrace them as sister tribes. We look at them as an extension of the Tunica-Biloxi family, and so we embrace them.
That's great. That's great news. I guess if there's one thing, and you've given such great, concise answers, I kind of run out of my questions. But one last thing: what would be the prevailing reason why delegates to the NCAI should vote for you to be their next president?
Well, I'm a unifier. I do think I have a God-given vision to move all of the Indian country together. That is why my platform shouts about unity. It talks about trust, respect, and most importantly, love. We live in a world that is full of bitterness. We live in a world that is full of hate. We don't have to be a reflection of that world. We can be the light within that darkness, and that light can be be transitioned to a powerhouse. We have to set the example, not only for our children, but we have to set the example for the rest of the world. What our ancestors went through, the sacrifices of blood, sweat, and tears, we should embrace that. That should be the unifying message, because that's one of the things as a tribal leader we all can agree to. And whether it's Tunica-Biloxi Tribe or Homa Nation or any other tribe, all our ancestors went through hell. And we still see the pain on a lot of our elders' face. So we should be talking about hope. We should be talking about healing. We should be talking about helping each other, not hurting each other. We should be talking about how we can unite and become a more robust Indian country, become a solution to America's problems by building bridges to connect us, not bridges to divide us.
Yes. Well, Chairman, I want to thank you, say Chi McGwitch, for coming on Native Bidaské, and we wish you success, and we look forward to seeing you soon, and I will be down in New Orleans. So, and to our viewers, I hope you enjoyed today's Native Bidaské. Our special guest was the distinguished chairman of the Tunica-Biloxi Tribe, Marshall Pierite. And he actually is at a convention, I think, and he broke away so he could join us today. And so thank you very much, Chairman, and we'll see you soon. To our
Thank
viewers,
you, Levi.
you are
Thank
welcome,
you,
sir.
Levi.
And to our viewers, tune in next week for another exciting episode of Native Bidaské. In the meantime, be safe, take care of your children, and children, go visit your grandparents. So have a good week. Chi Miigwech.
Thank you.
If you appreciate what we do here at Native News Online, we invite you to donate to support our continued work covering Indian country. You can scan this code with your smartphone or go to the link located below this video to donate today. We greatly appreciate your support. Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And be sure to scan this code or go to the link below to subscribe to our newsletter. Thank you for joining us today, and please be sure to join us again next week for another episode of Native Bidaské. Chi Miigwech.